Welcome to Superhuman Selling. Today, I am giving you a behind the scenes look and listen to day one of a live training that I recently did called The Feminine Path to Wealth. So, in this session, we are diving into feminine wealth energetics and what it means for you to really embody unapologetic abundance without hustle, without burnout, and without the self sacrifice that a lot of us have been taught is required. And so, whether you were able to join me live for this event recently, or if this is your first time hearing the material, I want to invite you to shift into overflow and align your identity with the level of wealth that you are currently desiring. So, with that, let's get into the training. Welcome to Feminine Path to Wealth. This is going to be really beautiful and exciting. I would love to invite you to share in the chat if you're here live, where you're coming in from. And then I want to invite you to also share, what is your income target? What is your revenue or income goal right now? Like, we're just going to get right into it. I know some of you who may not be super active in our community yet, or maybe this is your first time here. You're like, oh, that feels like a lot of personal information to share, Elyse. Well, here's what I know is that the more that we as women, and we've got a lot of amazing men in this community too, obviously more women, especially here on this event, the more that we can normalize and standardize wealth, abundance, money, not as the goal, the vision itself, but as the support system for our vision, the thing that is funding our dreams, where we are going. The more that we can make that just normal, natural, automatic, not a big deal, the more we can call it in and receive it in more meaningful ways. So I see Carolina coming in from Denver. Yes, I love it. I love it. And one thing I'll say too, thank you all for sharing. One thing I want to say too is we'll talk obviously a lot about money these next couple of days. Um, Money, it's not about comparison. It's not about like, oh, she's going for 2 million or a million or whatever, so I should be doing that too. We want to allow money to flow in and support your life and your goals based on who you came here on this planet to be. So, one of the things that we talk about a lot within our community and that I've really learned to do is I have healed and strengthened and shifted my relationship with money, which I'll talk about these next 2 days, is to really allow money to be a beautiful tool, a beautiful energy that supports my life, but to really continue to tune into who am I at my fullest expansion and expression, and then let the money kind of reverse engineer the money from there. Does that make sense? Like it's I used to go after money and it was like validation, it was a money grab, and I never felt like I was enough. And I always felt like less than, right? Other people who were doing bigger things. And when you're in that energy, you're not going to call it in, at least not in the way that you desire to. When you claim and own who you came here on this planet to be, when you say, I am here to be the fullest expression of me, and I'm just looking at some of you on this call who are active clients where it's like, I know your goals, right? So, Laura, you're in the penthouse in New York City when you're like, okay, this is me. This is what I came here to do. All right. What's the dollar amount that gets to flow in to support that? Beautiful. Like money flows in such different ways when we do that. And when we shift our relationship with it like that, and there's so much tied up in this, y'all. So we will cover as much as we can in these next 2 days on it. There's a lot with money as masculine energy. So we want to heal that relationship with masculine energy too. If you felt like unsupported by dad or father figure, whoever it is, we can tend to kind of transpose that relationship on money. We want to shift that. We want to rearrange that. We want to heal that and move the energy there. So I don't want to go too deep into actual teaching before we break. I'll lay the foundation. Well, Chima is saying, okay, beautiful from Massachusetts. Aubrey from Washington State, beautiful. So good. All right, keep sharing in the chat. And I also love seeing your takeaways, seeing what's showing up for you on this. I'm not going to say money goals out loud with your name just because people are going to get the replay. And I feel like that's for you here on this call, but just know I see it. I'm acknowledging it. We're in the energy of it all together. And if you want to come off mute later and talk about your current goal, we absolutely can. But I just want to acknowledge that I'm not going to say it out loud for the sake of the replay, but let's be in the energy of calling in the abundance here. Okay, this entire event, when I was feeling into what is it that I desire to speak about in September. This theme of feminine wealth energetics really, really flowed through and felt very, very important for the community. And so everything that I do, both with our active client calls as well as with any free or virtual events we do, it is intuitively guided. So I really trust like this is what people need to hear right now. And so the intention here, and you can let me know in the chat, give me like a yes or an emoji if this is resonating. But the intention here is about helping you tap into what unlimited abundance looks like for you. Shift, heal, release any old money stories you may be hanging on to about not being enough, not feeling worthy, being available for less than you really desire. You stepping into that fullness of you and then allowing yourself to create a really beautiful, supportive relationship with money that feels like love, that feels like peace, that feels like flow, that feels like, yes, this is one of the easiest relationships in my life, right? Like, what would that be like if money was the easiest relationship in your life? I want you to just play with that. And I played with that when it felt like the hardest relationship in my life. And what I will say now is that it does feel like one of the easiest relationships, but it's about the work that we're going to be doing here on this call. It's about the work we do in our community and our programs. Rachel's saying that sounds amazing. Yeah. Well, it's 100% doable. It really is. And I came some of you are have been on our calls before, some of you are maybe brand new, but I personally came from a very, I'm gonna say, like, masculine, logical, analytical approach to sales, money, wealth creation, also a lot of, like, guilt and shame involved. How many of you have had that experience or that dynamic with money where there's a lot of shame, there's a lot of guilt, there's a lot of fear of, like, "Oh, if I mess it up, if I don't get it right, then what?" Right? We make these stories in our head. Then what? But there was a lot of that energy around money and then around sales and hitting bigger goals too, because so much of what I was taught in corporate sales, which is what I did first, was about, again, it was masculine energetics. Nothing wrong with that. Masculine energy is about structure, support, systems. We love it. We're here for it. But we don't want to let it stifle or cripple or I'm gonna say, be overbearing on the feminine energy that you're bringing to your business and your sales. And feminine energy is vision, it's expansion, it's quantum leaping, it's connecting with the vision in your mind of what it is that you desire to experience and realizing that that's where you're creating from. And it's really about connecting energetically with that and bringing that to you in the 3D, much less about push, force, action, although we are taking powerful action when we're in alignment. But it's about fusing energetically with your goal, as Neville Goddard spoke about. Let me know if there's any Neville Goddard fans in the house. We reference his work a lot in the community, but it's about that and then drawing it to you. And we do that through becoming a vibrational match. And we'll talk more about what that looks like today and tomorrow. But coming from the background of sales and money have to be hard. I have to work and burn the candle at both ends all the time just to like make six figures, right? That was my first goal when I was in business and I felt like it had to be so hard. Um, if you're not pushing, if you're not grinding, like if you're not doing your sales outreach, someone else is, and someone else is selling. Like, y'all know the competition and the things that you hear. Who in here, raise your hand, has come from like the hustle grind, not enoughness culture in your sales and business? So we are here to change that. We are here to shift that. And what I will say is that mentality left me after 10 years of trying to do that and trying to make it work from that energy, stuck, struggling, never able to break past. For me, it was six figures. I was like, I'm here and I'm stuck. I couldn't get past it no matter how hard I worked, no matter what I did. Nothing wrong with that amount. By the way, there was a time in my life when that felt, whew, if I could just do that, that would be astronomical. And I think every woman's goal on here is unique and perfect and beautiful for you. I also want to probably encourage you to expand your thinking in terms of what's possible while we're in this event together. But for me, I wanted more for my life, but I couldn't break past that also struggling with an eating disorder, struggling with panic attacks, anxiety, like just stuck, 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 right? Feeling completely out of alignment. And when I learned what I'm going to teach you on this event the next 2 days and what we teach in our programs and in our community and the 10K club, and a lot of it was pulled from deep dive into spiritual wealth, energetics, working with amazing female mentors who taught sales and business and money in different ways. I was able to go from being stuck and struggling for over 10 years to literally 10xing, turning my annual income into my monthly income in 6 weeks, working fewer hours, which I don't share with people if I'm speaking on a stage for a company. I never tell them that because they don't want their people knowing that you can use this to work fewer hours and make more money. So we leave that part out. But for all of you, because you're here in the community, because it's a shoe sales event, I'm going to tell you, it was working far fewer hours during the time. And it was far easier, and these principles now that we're going to be sharing and working with you on over the next 2 days are the exact same wealth creation principles that I'm using right now as a mom of 3 kids, 5 and under, to scale our company from 7 to 8 figures, to do it in part-time hours, to launch the amazing things that we're launching, like a magazine, which comes out next week, like our media podcast network, which we're launching this year too, and so many other cool things. And so these principles work and they're timeless. But what I want to say is, regardless of your goal, regardless of your vision, regardless of what you have heard before, I want to invite you as we step into this container, into this energy, to remember that money is there to support you. And you can drop, rearrange, examine any old stories that have you thinking that you should settle for less than you desire, that you're not worthy of what you want, that it has to be hard or take a long time. You're going to hear throughout the course of the day, today and tomorrow, some really cool stories from women in our community who have leveraged these principles to have their own quantum leap. And whatever resonates with you in the stories, I want you to pay attention to it, because that means it is a latent potential within you. It's something that is meant for you, right? I always say, like, your desires are green lights. So if someone is speaking and talking about a success she had, a win she had, you're gonna hear stories of overcoming contrast and challenge too, because it's not always just like there's life that happens when we are quantum leaping and ascending. But anything you hear in another woman where you're like, "Oh, I would love that. I want that for myself." That is a potential in you. And if my own personal story resonates, that's because it is available to you as well. All right. So let's use each other for proof that it can happen, that we can do it, rather than for, oh, she can do it because of this, but not me. No, no, no. We are not, we're not in that energy here. Let me check in the chat and just see what is showing up for those of you who are here live so far. So Caroline's saying freedom of time, easily supporting friends and family, being able to experience life to its fullest, and the ability to give back. Yes, 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 yes. And something that's really powerful too, Caroline, and y'all will hear from Caroline. She's one of our featured community members and stories that we're going to bring to you today. But what's really powerful is when you realize that no one is coming to give you permission that you're good enough or that it's time to live life to its fullest. This was a big light bulb moment for me. We wrote a book about it collectively. Laura was a contributor in the book. Laura's here. Laura Grabovoy. Many of you know her. If you don't know her yet, you're going to love her. She's my right hand within our company. She'll share some of her story today too. Do we have any other contributors to the book on live? I don't think we do, but anyway, we wrote a book called Permission to Be Powerful about this a few years ago. And it's so true that when you realize that there's no, when people say, like, there's no day called tomorrow in the calendar, like, it's not, it's not in the calendar. It doesn't exist. It's just today. Everything is today, right? Now is your opportunity. And it is merely a decision to claim it for yourself. That's when it happens. That's when we quantum leap. That's when we ascend. Let's see here. Alexis is saying that would be such a powerful thing in the sense that it alleviates the emphasis we put on the object of money. Yes. Releases that strong tie that money can have in your life. Yeah. And the negativity it can hold. 100% makes sense. Like, people have so much stuff on money, right? And we don't realize, I think, how important this is in sales and business either. Like, we think, okay, if I want to sell more, whether you're in corporate sales, by the way, drop a one here if you're in corporate sales and drop a two in the chat if you're an entrepreneur. But what we're taught, I think so often is like, if I want to go sell more, I just need a better script. I just need a better funnel. I just need to work harder. I just need to work more hours. And I want to invite you to disentangle those things from your results today. All right, we got a lot of entrepreneurs. We got some ones and twos. We got some halves in there. Some sales, some top sales leaders too. Beautiful. This work applies to both. We have a lot of really incredible sales professionals, women in sales in our community. We also have a lot of phenomenal entrepreneurs, some women who are starting businesses, who have a dream to start a business. So there's a good mix. It applies regardless. But when I finally quantum leaped and went from having been stuck for so long to 10xing so fast, it was absolutely not about a better script, a better funnel, absolutely not any of that. It was about something that we now call and teach in our community, in our 10K club, something we call the 4 quadrants of quantum sales growth, which are so much more about who you are being, your identity, your belief system, your wealth consciousness, than about what you're actually doing. And Alexis, to your point, money is actually one of the 4 quadrants. We call them the 4 M's. So mind over matter, money, masculine, feminine energy, and then finally method, which is the strategy, but that's only 3 to 5% of it in terms of results. That is from Neuroscience. That's not just Elyse making it up. But so money has a tremendous impact on how much you sell. Your relationship with money has a tremendous impact on how much you will allow yourself to receive. And when we neutralize money and stop making it the bad guy and take away the shame, the guilt, all of the things we have on it, a lot of this is cultural, right? If we grew up hearing money is the root of all evil, like what are some of the negative things you heard about money growing up, or you even hear now? Type it in the chat. Let's debunk them. If you hear like, what do we hear? Money doesn't grow on trees. Money is the root of all evil. Or you saw your parents fighting about money growing up and you made it mean your younger brain that wasn't aware, wasn't quite as aware, made it mean if I want money, like, if I have money, I'm going to fight, right? Money makes people fight. All right. Well, I love other people. I don't want to fight. So I'm just not going to have money because that makes people fight. Or if we hear money is the root of all evil, no, it's not. No, it's not. Money is a tool. It is an amplifier. It is neutral. It is only going to amplify who you are already being. All right. So if you have, who in here, raise your hand or type a 1 in the chat. You're like, I have a big heart. I want to serve the world. I want to help more. And serve the world can be like, I want to show up better in my family. It could be like, I want to give to causes I care about. It can be, I want to upgrade my home because that's going to mean a lot for my family, for my kids. Like, it doesn't mean you have to go out and start a nonprofit, although we've got women in our community doing that, which is really, really cool. You'll hear from one of them tomorrow. But it is an amplifier of who you are. That's literally all it is. It is just an energy. It is just an amplifier, right? Someone can have not great motives and have a lot of money. They're going to use the money to amplify that. Someone can have wonderful motives and have a lot of money, and it's going to amplify that. All right. But sometimes we think, oh, I need to hold back, or me wanting more takes away from someone else. Absolutely not. I love how Abraham Hicks talks about, they compare it to health and they say, well, saying that I'm going to hold back on money because I don't want to take from someone else is the equivalent of saying, well, I'm not going to have health because I want to make sure there's enough health for other people. So I'm just going to hold back and like, I'll be sick for a while because I want to make sure there's enough health to go around. It's not how it works. That's not it. It's the same with money. But again, there's so much cultural conditioning around this. All right, what do people share? Laura, you have to work hard to get money. Absolutely not. But that is commonly heard, right? That is commonly heard. I mean, my husband was an hourly respiratory therapist before I retired him. And he's going to med school now. Some of you are in the community, you know that, some of you don't. But that was hard work, like hard, hard, hard work. Did he make a ton of money in that? Mm-mm. No. Money is not tied to hard work. It is tied to the amount of value that you put out in the world. It's also tied to your level of self work, your self concept, your financial thermostat, what you expect for yourself. It's tied to all of those things, not about how hard you work. There's a lot of people in the world who work really hard, right? Domestic workers, construction workers, janitors, like that is hard work. Is it lucrative? No, right? So we get to question everything. Caroline, save, save, save. All right. So what's the energy of it? And this is where I want to, we'll kind of talk about this now because this might be helpful for the group. Um, there's nothing wrong with saving. I think saving is beautiful. There's nothing wrong with it. And it's the energy you're in around it. So from what you probably heard growing up and what a lot of us heard growing up, what is the energy behind saving? Like, there might not be enough someday, right? Like rainy day fund, there might not be enough. What if there's an emergency? It's scarcity energy. All right. We don't ever want to circulate or flow or save money in scarcity energy. We want to have an energy of abundance as we circulate money, as we flow money. If we're saving money, we have the energy of abundance. Thank you, where it's like, hey, I appreciate this. I'm calling this in. I'm receiving this. And I'm letting it flow, like, I'm not attached to it. I know that I generate abundance from the inside out. I know that there is infinite abundance available to me. So my self-worth is not defined by my bank account. It's not defined by what's in there. That's not my safety. That's not my security. This is really important. Um, I I do not describe like one religious path that people need to go on, but I am spiritual. So you're gonna hear some spiritual language in what I say, and I really believe like whatever your path is perfect for you. The language I personally use is God is my source, right? That's security. That's source. It's that relationship. It's higher self, source, universe. That is source. That is security. Everything else is just 3D. Like that's it. And when we can have that energy with it and when we can neutralize money, Alexis, and make it neutral and easy, it flows so much more readily in your life. Like it really is such a big difference. When we make something important, when we make it much bigger than us, when we make it mean something, it's harder for it to flow and move in our life because we've actually got resistance to it. I feel like these are maybe like deep dive things right away, but I feel like this group is ready for it. So we're just gonna like go into it here. But we add resistance by making something important, by making it mean something, by making it significant, right? So we want to neutralize and naturalize and make money just it just is. It just is a part of my life. It just is who I am. It's not a big deal. I let it flow in. When it goes out, I know it's coming back, right? That's the energy. Someone who's here on this call shared not too long ago about making an investment in herself in one of our programs. And it was like that later that night, a little bit more than the investment came back in. And I know that this individual has worked a lot on neutralizing money and making it natural and easy. And so that's how it gets to flow for you when you are in this energy. All right. Alexis, lots of spiritual messages around humility, selfishness, greed. Yeah, I got to do a lot of reprogramming on that, Alexis, like, I will tell you, because I was raised Southern Baptist, like, conservative Southern Baptist, so Catholic might be the only one where there's more guilt, more shame, I don't know, but there was a lot of that. I grew up, so what I would invite everyone to do on this call is start questioning everything for yourself. Start thinking for yourself. Question everything. Question the stories you've bought into, question the things you have assumed to be true, question. If you say something and it feels like constriction in your body, question it, right? If it's like, I want to do this, but I can't, you need to question that. If it's, money has shame or guilt that causes constriction in your body, when you say it, question it. It's not your truth, all right? It's not actual ultimate truth. You're Catholic. How did I know? We do we do a lot of reprogramming and reworking here, and again, I would say there's a spiritual energy to everything we do. It's not about one particular path, but for me personally, I have rewired a lot of my relationship with God, source, universe, and that ties into money, love, relationships, all of it. It's all intertwined. It's all intertwined. So, all right, I meant to kind of like set the scene for what we're talking about 20 minutes ago. So let me share with you what to expect. We're going to set the scene for what to expect the next 2 days. It's going to be really beautiful. This is probably my favorite topic to teach women on and to work with women on. And it's going to be really powerful. So I want to start by just thanking you for being here and for showing up for yourself. I would love to hear from you. For those of you who are here live in the chat, what is your primary intention for this event? Some of you were texting with us earlier and sharing that. So I've heard from a few of you directly. By the way, each of you has a success advisor for this event. Laura Grabavoy, will you raise your virtual hand? It is probably Laura Grabavoy. There's a few of you who I personally am working with, but more likely than not, Laura is your success advisor. So please reach out to her, connect with her if you don't have her information. Connect with her here live on the chat and get it, because we want to hear from you what your primary intention is for the event so that we can help support you, so that we can help you get what you came here for and get connected in the right way and get the information that you need to accomplish your goals for being here. So type it in the chat. But I'd heard things from some of the women who are registered, like, I'm ready to really trust myself with making big moves. I'm ready to tap into unlimited abundance. I'm ready to take big action towards my goals in a more meaningful way. I'm ready to stop playing small. I think that's something that who in here can relate to that? You can raise your hand. Um, that one phrase, like when I decided to stop playing small in my life, it changed everything. And I was a woman who was raised like we were upper middle class. We weren't poor growing up, but I did the like average American, like, go get the corporate job, go make six figures, go get married, go do the thing type of vibe. And found myself on that path feeling like deeply misaligned. Again, struggling, like I mentioned before, with the anxiety, panic attacks, eating disorder, in a really unhealthy marriage in my 20s. And the path that was prescribed and what I thought I was supposed to do to be successful and happy was not the thing. How many of you get that or understand that? And what I realized was that that was my comfort zone. That's what I saw modeled. That was my comfort zone. And there comes a day when your comfort zone becomes your cage. And this is where we really break through. And this is where we can go from being someone who's maybe checking the boxes, doing all the right things, but not actually experiencing the true quantum leap in our lives, in our business, not making the money you want to make, not having the stages, the opportunities you want to have, the business you want to have. When you decide to stop settling, when you decide to stop playing small, when you stop benchmarking what good looks like for you or what your standards are based on what you saw growing up or based on what you see other people doing, and instead you tune into who is the fullest expression of me, and you start believing in that more than you believe in the conditioning, the programs, the lies from society about what the box you need to fit into. And then you allow money to flow to support you in your expansion, whether that's hiring a team, whether that's investing in yourself in coaching, whether that's putting a down payment on a house, whether that's buying the new car. But you allow money to support you in your expansion. That is power. All right. That is power. And what I am certain of for probably every woman who's live on this call, and you can let me know if I'm wrong, or you can let me know if I'm right in the chat. But your vision probably goes far beyond what you may have seen modeled growing up or what you thought was acceptable for you growing up. Type a one in the chat if that's true for you. If that, if you're like, yes, like I know that my vision for myself is a lot bigger than I maybe thought was possible, was told was possible for me. You are driven, you are ambitious, you are high achieving women. And so often we get stuck in our own box of saying, but is it really okay to want that? Is it really okay to have that much? Is it really okay to live in a house like that? Is it really okay to drive the G Wagon? Is it really okay to do the thing, to wear the Louboutins, to do? And the answer is yes. All right. But you have to give yourself permission to do it. No one is going to come tell you that you're good enough or that it's time. You're never going to get that mirrored back in the community. I remember when I really quantum leaped, I invested $50,000 in a 6-month private coaching container that felt incredibly uncomfortable, incredibly stretchy. I didn't have the money. I really didn't. I put a deposit on a credit card and was like, shoot, we're gonna have to figure this out as we go. But I was committed. I was committed. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. I told one girlfriend who I knew was on the same path of me who would understand it because I knew everyone else in my family, in my life would say, you're crazy. That's a terrible idea. What are you doing? But my intuition told me if I really trusted myself, if I really trusted God, source, universe, like if I trusted this would be the step I would take that would feel expansive right now. And I trusted that intuition. And that was what led to the birth of our company, our brand, everything that we do in the community now. That was the step I took that empowered me to retire my husband from his night shift job so he could pursue his dream of medical school, that has allowed us to be able to buy multiple homes, to do the things that we've done in the past 5 years, to live the life that we live. But it took a quiet knowing and trust in myself and not looking outside for other people's approvals or opinion. Something that's really important to remember is if you're asking someone for their opinion on what you should do, number one, I would invite you to go within because you actually know what you want to do. Like, don't all of you, when you like, you want to do the thing, whether it's buy the new wardrobe, invest in the coaching, step on the stages, buy the home, move to Thailand. I don't know. Like, you want to do the thing. So why are you asking someone else for their opinion? Especially if they don't have the results that you want, right? Because their results are going to mirror to you their level of consciousness. They're only going to be able to give you feedback from their perspective, which is the thing that's creating their life. So we have to stop asking for feedback, for permission. There's a lot of that coming through for this group today. So I feel like that's what we get to release together collectively. We get to stop asking for feedback, for permission, and we get to give ourselves permission. You get to give yourself permission to live your life the way you want to live it, to call in and attract money the way you want to attract, to flow it, to circulate it, to trust that money always comes back to support you in greater quantities, especially as you leverage it and flow it and circulate it as a partner in your life, but a partner you appreciate rather than hoard, I'm scared, I'm saving, I'm conserving out of fear, right? So it really is about an energy shift around money. It's about moving money from root chakra first energy center, which is about scarcity, survival, up into our heart, which is about love and about expansion. So we want to move the energy of money there. And there's some ways we can do that. And giving yourself permission to go for what you really want in life as well. So I say all of that to say the next 2 days, we are going to be debunking some old money myths. We're going to talk about what the feminine path to wealth looks like. You are going to hear some from some really special, really cool women in our community too today, too tomorrow. Um, all of them are powerful, powerful stories that you don't want to miss, that you're going to see yourself mirrored in. And we will share tomorrow about some opportunities to go deeper within this work with us. We've actually rolled out something really, really cool and new. I think even our existing clients who are on this call, a lot of you don't know about all of it yet. So we will share what that is, what that looks like, give you the opportunity to go deeper. I will also really encourage you, if you have not yet booked a call with your success advisor, whether that's myself or whether that's Laura, I want you to go ahead and get that call booked. Laura, if you can put your calendar link in the chat, and it should also be linked on elisearcher.com/10K club. But Laura has opened up time in her calendar this week specifically to meet with you, to talk with you, to help support you in your goals. So whether you're an existing community member or you're not in our space or our energy yet, you're like, I want to go deeper. I want to know how to do it. Book some time, get on Laura's calendar. She's got a lot going on. We've all got a lot going on. We're hosting a live event next week, which some of you will be at, which we're so excited for. But now is your time. Now is the time to come get connected and get supported as well. So with that, I want to do a little bit more teaching before I call up our first guest here. So, and I also want to invite you because I really like to be live in the energy of the group. If you have specific money questions or things that are like, gosh, I would love to like change this experience. I would love to have this shift or change for me. Drop it in the chat. I want to speak to it live on the call with you. I always think being live on these calls is really, really powerful. And I want to also honor that you're here live and be able to support you in what your specific questions are. So I want to hear what's coming up for you as well. So let me pull from the chat here. Laura D. How to earn money with feminine energy leading because I've been used to the overtly masculine way of pushing, hustling, and always doing. Yes. Okay. And what I'll share there too, and I think we'll get to go deeper in this for you. So I hope it's okay if I say this, but Laura's a private client. So like we've been Marco Poloing and talking about what that looks like and how to do it. I used to think that money and earning money was all about action. It was about what am I doing? How many reach outs am I doing? Y'all, and I still track activity to some extent, but really not a lot, like not the way I used to at all. I have powerful systems and structures in my business, but it used to be all about spray and pray. How many people can I reach out to? How many calls can I make? How many texts can I send? And that is masculine energy, nothing wrong with that, but you will not quantum leap from that energy. It will be a slower process. It will not feel enjoyable. You will get burnt out. You will probably get incremental results, if even any growth with that. Feminine wealth creation energetics. And you'll hear from one of our speakers tomorrow. She just, this is fun, closed like a 60K cash collected contract over the weekend while she was just in her feminine energy, like doing her thing, which is really, really fun because she's been a client for a long time and has learned and embodied this material in really deep ways. But when we lead with feminine is about tuning into your vision. It's about tapping into, like I said earlier, I love the phrase, who is the fullest expression of me? What is she doing? Right? Are you speaking on stages? Are you writing a book? Are you a multimillionaire? Maybe you're a billionaire. Where is your home? Right? Where are you living? Do you have multiple homes? And do you have an RV? That ended up being part of the fullest expression of me was we got an RV because I was excited about that. We're camping with our kids. Again, are you speaking on the stages? Are you traveling and flying private, first class? Like, what does that look like for you? And when you fuse with that, when you understand that the only reason that vision is coming through, the only reason it's coming through is it's the impulse of the divine within you that wants you to grow. That's what it is. It's kind of like, you all may have heard of the entelechy, right? The acorn has the entelechy within it, the blueprint, the design to become the oak tree. It's inherent within it. Now, in order for the acorn to become the oak tree, it has to be planted in the right conditions. It has to have the right soil. It has to have water. So that's kind of how I like to think about our community and what we do is it's like it's putting you, like you've got the entelechy within you, right? You know what it is that you want to do. You know that I always like to look at if I remember I don't need to know the how. If I say there's no consequences, there's no limitations, but I'm going to claim my desires and go for what I want, like you know what that is, or you've got a sense of it, right? That is the entelechy within you. That is the blueprint within you. That is your divine design, as Florence Scovel talked about in the game of life and how to play it. Each of you has a divine design, something within you that you and only you can do. You and only you are meant to do on this planet. And the fact that it keeps showing up, the fact that it's an impulse, it is the urge of the divine within you to come and express that, to be that, to bring that forth. But you need the right conditions, right? So that's part of the environment. That's part of community. That's part of the value of masterminding, of being with other women, men, people who are doing the same thing. It's creating the right conditions to support your growth so that you are able to actually grow into who you came here to be. Because if you're not putting yourself in the right environment, if you're not putting yourself in the right community, the right conditions, if you're like, I'm leaving it to chance, or I'm just going to be in the energy of the people who are around me right now. Well, how many of them are really ascending and quantum leaping? How many of them are living out their fullest expression? How many of them are at a higher level of consciousness than you, right? Probably not very many if you're not intentionally investing in yourself. So I think that's the value of this work in this community. And whether you go deeper in our community or somewhere else, I want to tell you that your environment matters a lot. And the people you're surrounded with matter a lot. And being in a container that creates the space for you to grow, for you to flourish, for you to actually sprout, like the acorn becomes the oak tree, you are worth investing in that way. You are worth being in that space. And so to go back to Laura's point about earning money with feminine energy leading, there's a lot of unlearning we get to do around money. There's a lot of old disentangling we get to do around money, right? I work part-time hours right now, simultaneously raising our kids. We are growing our company. We are scaling our company. We are doing new things, bigger things. It has nothing to do with the hours I work. It has to do with the clarity of my vision, how much I allow myself to be supported, how serious and fierce and intentional I am about calling in what it is that I want. It has to do with joy. It has to do with fun. It has to do with actually experiencing life along the way. Those are the things it has to do with. So anytime you find yourself in push, hustle, like doing mode, not from an energy of fun, but from an energy of like, I've got to do it. We are separate from our goal. We are energetically separated. We are not a match for it. You're not going to get very far taking action from that energy. All right. We want to fuse with our goal, as Neville Goddard talked about, which means, are my thoughts, feelings, and actions aligned with where I would be from the end? Have I done the work to remember that I am a co-creator, that the minute I have the vision, the minute I have the idea, that it is literally being created in the 5D for me. And it's way more about me aligning with it and allowing it in and then taking inspired action and following the impulses and the nudges than about trying to push the boulder up the hill. We're in separation and lack when we're in that energy. You're not gonna get to where you want to go, or it's gonna take a really long time and it's gonna be so unpleasurable and you're gonna be so burnt out. You're gonna be like, I'm never doing that again. Right? So that's the difference. That's the difference. Debbie, washing away the remaining programs my parents lived regarding money, painful beliefs deep in my subconscious. Yeah, totally. And look, here's one thing that I'll say, and we do a lot of we do inner child work in our community around money. But one of the biggest things that will help free you so much, like regardless of who you are on this call, is actually giving gratitude to your parents. This is what I do a lot, is like, thank you so much for being willing to take that on, to live that, to experience that so that I could find something different for myself, so that I could be on a path to discover what's real and true for me. Because our greatest teachers come not from people just handing us everything on a silver platter, but it comes from contrast. It comes from having to find out who we are. It comes from having to question everything, getting to question everything and determine and decide for ourselves. So that'll free up some energy for you there. Um, Rachel, I want to stop doubting my skills, knowledge, and trust there are people who need to hear what I teach. Yes, yes, yes. Well, you're in our membership, and I think I may have said this to you last week. I can't remember. But my friend Rory, who talks about your calling is someone else's signal, right? Your calling is someone else's signal. So for any of you who are on, like, who are here on this call and you're doubting yourself, like, just let that go. Let that go. What if you took that same energy that you're putting into doubting yourself and put it into just going like hair on fire, hell bent, this is happening? Because that's what the energy is of the quantum leap. Like, what if you, again, think about all the time you waste doubting yourself, questioning yourself. Oh, can I do it? Blah, blah, blah. What if you invested that in your growth and in saying, well, hell, I'm gonna find out. Like, I'm gonna go for it, and I'm gonna find out. And here's the thing, when we are willing to follow the desire, to follow the impulses, to pull the thread, it may not end up exactly how you thought it was going to on the other end of it, but I can promise you that you're gonna get to where you wanna go or somewhere better. When you follow the nose, when you say yes, when you stop doubting and questioning yourself, and you move towards your goal simultaneously moves towards you. Our job is not to micromanage the how. That is not our job, but our job is to tune into what is my desire at its fullest. I remember that that's showing up for me because it is meant for me. I wouldn't see it if I couldn't do it, right? You got to remember that. You wouldn't be able to see it if you couldn't do it. And then to allow it in. And that looks like saying yes to yourself. That looks like being willing to get uncomfortable, not in a hustle, push, force way, but it usually is uncomfortable, like whew, this feels uncomfortable to invest in myself in this container, but I'm going to do it. This feels uncomfortable to reach out to this client to do this thing. But again, your comfort zone is a cage. So you gotta be willing to stretch outside of that. Let me just pause and read like one more and then we're gonna do I feel like I'm hopefully getting you the teaching I want to give you today through answering what's showing up for those of you who are here live. Um, Alexis, continue earning money in an effortless mode. Yes. Panic and scarcity mode, the natural ebb and flow of clients. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. So what I would ask you is, okay, so what belief would someone have to have who earns money effortlessly? Right. And I want you to just tune into this. Like, if that's my desire, does that exist for someone else? Is there anyone else on the planet where that exists? Maybe that hasn't been my personal experience yet, but is that universally true that money is hard to make or that it feels no. I've shared in this community I went and I worked with a billionaire client last year. He makes 20 to 40 million dollars a day. All right? Money flows. It flows, it flows, it flows. But you've also, if you're calling in more, you've got to get comfortable with flowing out more. You've got to get comfortable with the flow, with the circulation, with the ebb and the flow. And so when you again, when we make money source or security, we're gonna panic. We're gonna freak out when it goes out because we're like, ah, where's it gonna come? Our clients leave. We're gonna be like, oh my gosh, where are they gonna come from? It's that's wrong relationship with money. Not wrong, like you're wrong for that. That's how a lot of people think about it. But that's I want to help you shift the energy there. When you lock in to the fact that you generate abundance from the inside out, that you are abundance, it has nothing to do with what's outside of you. It has nothing to do with the clients who are coming in. It has nothing to do with what's in your bank account right now in the moment. For me, the way I played with it, and I know this is not everyone's experience on the planet, but for me, I know I'm a woman. I don't question it. I just know I don't have to affirm it. I don't think about it. It just is. Like it just is. So I don't have fear or doubt that I'm not, right? I'm not worried about it. I'm not thinking about it a lot during the day. You take that same energy of something that you know to be a fact, right? Maybe it's like the sky is blue, right? You're not thinking about it. You're not affirming it. It just is. You start playing with that same energy and say, okay, if I had that knowing about myself that I am abundance, and this is part of what we teach in our programs and wealth energetics and how to actually believe this and rewire this, you can flow out and circulate money and you can be so peaceful about it because you know more is coming back in. And it's more of just thinking about like the tide of the ocean, like the tide goes out, the tide comes in. So when you're in a period where you've floated out or circulated it out, you're like, oh, I'm so excited to see it coming back in. And you're at peace and you're calm and you're like, it's not a big deal. I'm like, I know it's coming back. Right. Or a client leaves. Right. We use the vacuum law of prosperity. The universe abhors a vacuum. Oh, cool. Now I've got a space for someone to come in who's going to be even more aligned. Right. So it's all about your belief systems. It's all about wealth energetics. That's part of why we teach. We've got a workbook that goes along with our program, the 10K Club, which I'll share more about tomorrow and how you can apply for that if it's something that's speaking to you. But there's a couple pages in that workbook just on universal laws. And it's so beautiful. Some of you have the workbook. Some of you will be getting it this week when you're rolling into the program. But we've got pages on universal laws because when we can know the laws, we have so much peace. We understand how things work. We're not in fear. We're not in scarcity. We are in our power. And that's the energy that allows money and clients and opportunities and business to flow. So before I go way too long and don't create space for some really special stories, I want to invite up Caroline. And Caroline, if you want to come off mute, Caroline is such a special soul. And I know, and I think you know, and we have this feeling of like, this was a divinely ordained connection that is really, really cool. Go ahead.
Story is so fun.
Yes.
It's just so fun.
Do you want to tell it for a minute? Do you want to share a little bit of the backstory about how you even came into the community? And then we'll talk a little bit about what you texted me last night. But share, if you want to just share a little of the backstory, because it's one of those things where you're like, oh my gosh, like this is so good.
It's I'll try to give you all the short synopsis because I know I can be a gabber. Uh, so I I'm in solar sales and um I almost never have time to go out door knocking with the field marketers. And I did one day, and I happened to knock on Elise's door. And I recognized her immediately and pull up my phone. I'm talking to her husband. I'm like, "Is this her?" Like, I was just listening to her podcast, and I was so starstruck, and then I had the opportunity to sit at your kitchen table and pitch solar to you guys, which and our whole conversation did not really end up being about solar at all. Um, and I just knew immediately that I was meant to meet you, and I remember my drive home after I met you, and everything just felt so calm.
Uh,
I just had this really calm feeling, and but it was also very exciting. It felt like pure alignment.
yeah. Yeah.
And yeah. Oh
Oh
my
my
god.
gosh. So this is just think about this, y'all. Out of every single door Caroline could have knocked on,
And I swear I didn't know she lived there.
you've come to our house. You've been, I think, a long time or longer time podcast listener. Had no idea, how are we even in Maine together, right?
Who would have thought? Oh my so that was, like, the only proof that I needed that the universe works for you. Like,
Does. It really does. It really, really does. And here's what I know, and we'll talk a little bit about some of what's been going on for you because you got in the 10K club. Now you're doing our consultant certification. You sent me a really fun text last night about what's going on. I was like, oh my gosh, do you come on and share? But what I know is that you have a very strong intention for yourself for more. Like all of those things could not have been orchestrated for you if you did not. But the key is you also said yes to yourself, and you also were willing to be like, "Whew, okay, in faith, I'm saying yes. In faith, I'm taking action. In faith, I'm moving forward." And so it's so powerful when we are willing to give up a little bit of control and say, "I know that my desires are divine. I know that my desires are green lights, and I'm gonna again pull the thread and see what's available on the other side." And you are on such a beautiful path. So thinking about where I wanna, go first with you here. You you sent me share if you don't mind, and if you're not comfortable sharing numbers, you don't have to, but you sent me a fun text last night. So you've been in our community, in our 10K club for 3, 4 months, something like that?
I think 4 months, yeah. Not a long time.
Not a whole yeah, about 4 months. And I believe you hit your first 10K month in the community pretty early on. Is that accurate?
Yeah. I think, 2 months in.
2 months in. Yeah, you hit your first 10K month. And then what did you text me last night? Because this is fun.
So fun. I texted Elise and I said, "I am just so excited to share with you that I hit my highest month yet, 19K." And then as Elise texts me her response, I passed that and I hit 25K. As the text rolling in and looking at my commission statement in a funny time.
So good. So, so good. And I wanna ask and just share if you are willing to speak to a little bit of the contrast that you've had the past few months, because I think sometimes people hear stories like yours and they're it's all been up, 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 like it's just been easy and this and that, and what I know from having, been with you behind the scenes is that you've navigated, like, some real contrast, and so I wanna share that not in the energy of, not in a, negative energy, but in energy of you have accomplished really beautiful things in your business while simultaneously navigating contrast, and that we can do that. So if whatever you are comfortable speaking to that you wanna share there, I think would be good.
I mean, I'm a huge advocate for transparency and, um, you know, I don't wanna sugarcoat or make light of, the story that I have because I think that's so important for everybody else. Um, so when I had met Elise, I was pregnant and, we just had so many synchronicities. Her first son is what we had named, our son, and, yeah, ended up losing the pregnancy and, still went to the Superhuman live selling event. I just knew it was like, if there's anywhere I need to be there in that energy, and that was exactly what I needed. I had some really, really powerful moments, but one of the biggest things that I took away from it is that it's okay to feel how you feel, and it's okay to, like, be in grief and pain and loss and simultaneously feel joy in moments and not judge yourself for that. And to also know that multiple things can be true at once. You can be experiencing all of these really, really hard things to navigate while the most amazing things are unfolding for you in your 3D world. It does not have to be one or the other. And when I really stepped into that, um, that's when I started putting in some work saying, like, I redefined what was meant for me and what it looked like. And I um, physically wrote out a list of limiting beliefs. And then I took each one and I rephrased it into a statement of abundance and prosperity. And just that simple little exercise was like, oh my gosh, like this is literally just a belief. Like it's just a silly belief. Um, and yeah, I had to heal a lot of wounds, money wounds. Um, my my all the women in my family generationally have struggled, and the men have seemed to do really well. My dad's like a self-made multimillionaire. And what's funny is when I was little, a psychic told my dad that I was going to be the highest earning person in the family, and he didn't believe it. And I started to believe that for a long time as well. And yeah, my gosh.
Mm, wow. Wow. Thank you for sharing that, and I think it's so important for people to see and to know, like, the real story behind things, and I think that what you shared, Caroline, is so powerful, and I wanna acknowledge you for that of, I can be processing some of the biggest grief of my life, and simultaneously, I can be calling in what I desire, I can be ascending, I can have a sense of peace that things are working for me behind the scenes, and to see how, you have stepped in and quantum leaped and ascended and, um, we're in 10K now, you're getting certified as a consultant, like, there's so many things that are happening for you that we don't even know or see yet too, but we know are coming, and your dharma and your purpose is really big. Like, I wanna speak to that. Go ahead, you're gonna say something. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it has not been, and Elise has seen some of or experienced some of my like absolute breakdowns. Like I've sent her voice notes where I'm just in hysterics and just so much confusion and trying to navigate, but well, all of were um those moments were guiding me on a path, and they were telling me like to step into something. Like that moment with the Amish horse.
Mm.
And I called Elise. She's like, "I'm with my kids. Can you text?" And I just sent her a voice note, and I'm in hysterics. And oh my gosh! And that launched something within me. I've started outlining. Actually, at least this is news. Outlining a nonprofit
Mm.
for animal sanctuary and to provide education to the Amish communities. And all that. So all of these contrasting moments that just feel so, 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 so heavy, or they don't have to be all bad.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love how you leveraged that and transmuted that. And you all will hear tomorrow from one of our consultants who has launched a nonprofit and is doing some really, really cool work in that space. So I want to acknowledge you for that, Caroline. And I think what I want to ask, one of the final things I want to ask you is how have you, like, what is it that you've done to be able to ascend, to call in more financially, to have your first 25K plus month, probably, while also navigating some of the contrasts? Like, how have you called it in? What has that been like for you? What shifted in your relationship with money, with abundance, with yourself that's allowed you to receive at a higher level?
Mm, I think, oh man, a few things, but choosing to just follow what feels good. That, I mean, it sounds so simple and easier said than done, but just following what feels good, and also kind of manifesting the only clients that I would wanna work with.
Mm.
And, um, and that I don't have to hustle, I don't have to kill myself to make 25K in a month. I don't have to have 1,000,000 sales in order to do that. I can have a few really good ones with homeowners that are just dreamy, and, also, how do I put it into words? Allowing myself to, um, find the balance between feminine and masculine. I mean, I'm in a very male-dominated industry, and they're all about, it's kind of like a, boys club, and, um, allowing myself to find that balance while kind of ignoring the outside, all the noise. That's huge, is ignoring all the noise on the outside and not needing the external approval from people. Um, and one thing that I wanna say is what makes sense to me doesn't have to make sense to everybody else. And so while I'm writing all of these things down, like, I I physically wrote a list of things that I'm really good at, and I wrote down, I was like, "I'm gonna make my first 1,000,000 just by being me." Like,
Love it.
and it was actually difficult at the time to write down some of the qualities I admired about myself,
Mm.
and once I wrote them out on paper, I was like, "You know, I am funny. Like, I'm funny, and I make people laugh, and I that's something that I love doing." Like, I like to entertain, but I like to really dive in and help people see something within themselves, and you know what I mean? And I just knew, I was like, "Oh my gosh, somehow I'm going to help people uncover and discover, like, alignment within themselves while being funny about it." So
Probably, side note, that's probably why my 2-year-old Luke was talking nonstop about his armpits while on the text you last night. I'm trying to send Caroline a text, and Luke is in the background, like, screaming about his armpits. Well, trying to actually get the words out, and he's just going on and on. And so it's probably because 'cause you're funny.
my response to you, I was like, "You know what? I get it." Like, I find myself talking about my own armpits a lot.
But here's what I love and what I wanna say about what you shared, and this is so beautiful, like, when you define that your path to wealth gets to be yours, and I think you've done that so beautifully, you said, like, "I'm gonna make my first 1,000,000 being fully me." Like, I'm gonna lean into my gifts. Price Pritchett talks about this in his book, U Squared, which is about how to quantum leap. One of the chapters is called Unlock Your Gifts. And so noticing, where am I hiding? Where am I not being visible? Where am I playing small? Where am I not bringing all of me, like fully expressing, and I'm holding back because I'm concerned or nervous about what other people are going to say or think. And the more that you lean in and say, this is who I am, like like you're going to use that in your business just because you are like, that's naturally who you are. That's attractive. That's magnetic, right? Magnetism is feminine energy. So yeah, I love it. I feel like you were going to say something else there, but I want to tune in on now.
I I love that, and I think, I another shift that I have made is also being willing to walk away. Like, I've started walking away from sales, like, I don't want a sale just to make a sale. I wanna make sure that it's energetically aligned with me because I'm gonna be this homeowner's sorry, I don't know if you can hear that,
Okay.
I 'cause I'll be working with these homeowners. It's like, I'm a project manager for their home improvement project, and I wanna make sure it's a good fit and, making that shift as well of, like, um, just receiving just allowing myself to receive, and I don't need to sign a deal for just to sign a deal, and it turns out those were always the ones that had, like, the smallest commission,
Yeah.
and I was spending the most time and, like, seeing their name on my phone, I'd be like, "Oh, no."
More. Yeah. 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 You will get, with money, with clients, like with everything in life, you will get what you're available for. It's so important. So as you up level your standards, your expectations for yourself, you're going to find that you have different clients flowing in and you get to really define like what success looks like for you and what feels good to you. And to your point of being willing to say no to what feels draining, constrictive, like, ugh, I don't even want the story going into it. That's alignment. That's power. Yeah.
And what I mean, just a few months ago, I joined the 10K club, and I did a payment plan, that was all I could do, and, like, saying goodbye to that $1,000 at the time, like, it felt I was like, "That's so much, like, I don't know how I'm gonna make it until I get paid next." And I took that leap, and as soon as I did, it felt so good. I mean, you talk about investing in yourself, and I remember somebody saying, like, "Oh, that's a gamble," and I was like, "Oof,
Yeah.
no, 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 no."
Mm-mm-mm. Yeah.
And, last night so this is after that, y we were messaging back and forth. Last night, my boss told me that my percentage that I'm getting for my commission bucket is going from 50% to 60%.
Ooh, love.
Love, love, love. That's
Like,
huge.
yeah.
Um, but I've already started then to be able to do these things to really embody the person that makes good money.
Yeah.
Like, my car broke down and it was more expensive to fix than it was worth, and I bought myself a new Audi Q5. I mean, used, but still.
Cool.
So exciting, and I've just start really embodied that person, like, who is that woman? And stepped into her, and I've never felt more like myself.
Oh my gosh. What a beautiful, like, I just feel like that's it. I feel like that's the mic drop. That's it. I started embodying her. I started thinking about who I am, and I've never felt more like myself. And so I've heard it said that money and love are the same energy. And some people think that that means, oh, like we're idolizing money. No, like when we can make it a heart thing, when we can make it about like this is from divine, from source, like it's allowing me to just expand into the fullness of who I am. Now, the key is you expand first, you take action from that expanded place, and the money flows to follow, just like you talked about your story. But that's so beautiful. Thank you. Like, I just love you. I adore you. There's so much more coming for you too. And I can't wait to see you next week and
Oh,
pour into you live. But I just want to really acknowledge you and appreciate you.
thank you.
You are.
I love you so much. I'm gonna cry.
you know, crying is normal on these events. We cry a lot, and it's good. I think it was Brandon who said we're gonna get she sells branded Kleenex boxes because we could probably use them.
In bulk.
Our next product line, y'all. Oh my gosh. All right. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Caroline. Thank you so much. I want to invite up Laura. So, Laura, you are our last interview for today. But I'm excited for this because Laura has had such an evolution within this material from first being, I don't want to give away too many punchlines, but I want to invite you to share things that are maybe a little different than what you've shared in past events. Um, I'll share this. Laura's evolution from being a client starting in the 10K club, doubling your income in corporate within 6 months, right? Um, Having 3 dream job opportunities, showing up, doing the work, healing a lot of the unworthiness piece that a lot of us have been conditioned with, and to, now being really my right hand within the company and leading the, implementation calls for a lot of the women, providing coaching to a number of the members of our community. You've co-created and you co-facilitate the consultant certification with me. Um, Now here full time, like your journey has been so expansive. And so I would love to hear when you think about maybe what has shifted most for you with wealth consciousness with this work. I want to start there. And then I want you to speak a little bit from the perspective of what you see within the community of women growing. But I'd love to hear what shows up for you there first. I think it would be really powerful for everyone here live.
Yeah, there's so much, but it's a belief in myself. It's choosing myself, that I've been, and what does that mean? Choose yourself. It means you have a strong intention of creating the woman that you desire to be, and that's what I did. And that's what I do. And anchoring into that belief with an intensity that is powerful. That's
Mm.
powerful. And there is no external noise, no external thing that is going to stop me from it. And so that was my biggest thing. And that's the biggest lesson that I've learned in my life through my own transformation 5 years ago is that I had allowed everything outside of me to sway me, to move me, to change me, to trigger me. And I was done playing small. I was done playing small. And I remember even like the first video that I sent in the Facebook group is that I had done playing small. And because I had witnessed Elyse going for big things in her life, and it just motivated me. And I had so many transformations and shifts when I knew that the internal, um, the internal work is where things are done. And I had an intensity about doing the internal work, and I shifted so much stuff. So I did the things that we talk about in that are in the 10K modules. I had an intensity about it. I went into it. Elise drew me to the material. She didn't change me. I changed me. She drew me to the material, and it was a work that I did within myself, and I continue to do, and I continue to believe. And what inspires me the most is to see all the women in the community do the same thing. So you just heard Carolyn write your story about it's about, you could have gotten swayed or stuck with the things that were happening within you. And it's not to downplay at all because you get permission to work through those emotions while simultaneously building a life that you desire. And so I remember at one point in time, I knew that I was going to release my corporate job by the way that I manifested within 6 months of the program and doubled my 6-figure corporate income. And so I was like, you know what? I was working in the work. I knew that I was going to work for Elise, and I did work for you at a different level than I am now. And I remember being like, I know I'm going to release this. And what was so interesting is, again, the theme, I was waiting for somebody else to tell me to do it. I was waiting for the corporate job to really, and but actually I really wasn't waiting for corporate to release me because I was at the point where I was like, at that, I'm doing this myself. But there were things that were happening that because I was the energy that was there. But I was like, you know what? My husband's not going to tell me. Elise isn't going to tell me. Nobody's going to tell me. And again, what do I want within myself, and what do I know? And there was a lot of overcoming fear that I got to do. There was a lot of overcoming the we call what's matter on matter. Like I know that if I do this, it's going to be hard, and I don't know. And it's like I'm predicting, and I'm like going to the past, I'm going to the future, and I know the power in what we do today and what we teach is the present moment, and knowing that I get to create and I get to be in the energy and the frequency of what I desire and what I want. And I remember walking on the beach with Elise, and it was so fun. The things leading up to it, but I was walking and I was like throwing every limiting belief into the water. She just like was a witness to it. And I remember at simultaneously we walked so far and we turned around, and in the turn I was like, I know what I get to do. This is what I'm doing. I remember releasing the job. But what really motivated me too with that was seeing the women in this community go after the big things. So I'm not the only one who has released a corporate job. Right? There's many a women that have released jobs, have released relationships, have released whatever that's no longer serving them. But I have to tell you, it's the support that we get to surround ourselves with the women and men now in the community that are here, that are going for the things that are meant, that are they're calling on their hearts and not apologizing, not letting fear drive them, but really anchoring into that calling that's within them and going for it and going for the big things. And so witnessing and watching that is the thing that really inspired me because I thought, you know what? Man, here we go. I was really up against myself at that moment on the beach. And I knew that in order for me to really continue to inspire and do the work that I do, that I'm faced with this decision for myself right now. And I remember turning at that moment and I thought, here we go. You know what? I'm not quite sure how this is all going to work out, but I believe in myself. And I know that if I could be so successful at what I've already done, how much more successful could I be choosing myself and going for what I really want in my life? And knowing that I was supported by the team, by you all within the community, like your stories inspire me. What you do inspires me to keep digging within myself and going within and doing the work. And doing the work is changing the beliefs, these doubts, these thoughts, and really start believing and anchoring in what my calling is on my heart, and knowing that I get to do this every day and anchoring into this with a intensity of love and serving and growing so that I could be an example and then I can witness each of you leveling up to that same calling is what is so beautiful.
Amen, amen, amen. Yeah, that's beautiful. Um, and you all hear the conviction in Laura's voice as she shares this. And I think what's so fun, to your point, is being able to witness and lead and expand with a community of a lot of incredible women, some really amazing men who are unapologetically going for what they desire, going for it. Like that phrase has come up again and again and again, done playing small. And there is an intensity of energy that happens when we quad unleash, where if you're sitting here and you're like, I've been saying the same revenue goal for a while, I've been saying the same income goal, and it hasn't happened yet, and I'm like kind of bored with it. You haven't decided. You haven't laid it all on the line. You haven't said this is happening. You haven't said no matter what, I'm calling this in. That's the difference. When you hear people say it is literally a decision, it is literally a decision. That is it. Right? And there's ways that sometimes we benefit from not having enough. And it's all subconscious, whether it's like, oh, I don't have to show up, I don't have to shine too bright, I don't have to have people look to me for decisions or for leadership, or I don't have to say yes to myself, I don't have to invest in myself. If I don't have the money, I can't do it. Right? Like all of those limiting beliefs we tell ourselves about money, And yet it becomes a cage. Like, it really does become a cage. And so you didn't come here to play small. You didn't come here to say someday. You didn't come here to do what I call it putting your life on layaway, saying someday when the things are convenient, when the timing is right, it'll happen. The ascension that I really see with the members of our community who do double, triple, 10x their income, who turn their annual income into their monthly income, it is a decision. It is a decision. That's it. So Laura, thank you for sharing all of that. And I wanna actually, I want to invite one person who I wasn't planning on having speak, and she doesn't know I'm gonna ask her to speak, so you can say no. But Laura D, do you wanna come off of mute? And, I just when I think about what we're talking about today, I think about you. I feel like you're embodying this, and we've got maybe 5 minutes. But you are a woman who has done this and has embodied this recently, and I just think it would be so powerful, like, you're in your leap, you're in your ascension now, but you made a declaration, you made a decision, you've invested in yourself in private coaching, like, you're doing the things. Do you wanna come off mute and just share about anything that shifted for you that has inspired or empowered you to really call in what you're desiring unapologetically and call it in now?
Yeah,
Thank you for being willing to just, like, show up and do this, not a bite with no worrying.
of course. Happy to share. I said in the comments that Laura G pretty much started a movement. And honestly, like I was I was one of the people who followed the movement. So it really started with me opening my eyes to, and paying attention to, like, when I'm happy and celebrating somebody else's win, recognizing that it's because it's something that's lighting something up inside me as well. So when I first heard that Laura left corporate and I was like really excited, happy for her. And then I was like, wait a minute, this is more than the usual. I think there's something here for me. So I just kept following the nudge. And to your point earlier about it's not all like happiness, I paid attention to everything. I paid attention to my thoughts. I paid attention to my body's reactions. I paid attention to when I would go back to my old ways of being, of like, am I doing enough? Right. And I still am. Have I talked to enough people? Have I planned enough? And then I paid attention to how it felt in my body. And I was just like, this can't be right if I'm feeling tightness. And then when that would happen, I would look at almost like my evidence journal of times when I have made some crazy, quote unquote crazy logical move. And I remembered like, oh, every time I've done this, yes, I felt scared. And then I just go, let's just do it anyway. My body opens up. I'm like, that must be right. Like, that must be right. Let me follow the nudges of my body. So that's pretty much how it's been for me, like, just following the nudges in complete faith, and sometimes the things that I'm planning out, it doesn't end up the way I thought, but it's, like, somehow better, like, as an example, Elyse, you know this, Laura, you know this, I just signed my first client, and it was completely not in the way that I thought. It wasn't even the program that I was planning, but it's just like, oh, when I think about how that happened, I was following the nudges of do this live call, follow up, whatever, and it felt easy by the time it came. So for me, that's the biggest lesson is like honestly just paying attention to everything, not just the good feelings, but even when the thoughts come up and I have emotions of like fear or whatnot. And then when those emotions of like fear, doubt, like scarcity thinking come up, pay attention, love on those parts, love on those thoughts, and then just redirect like, hey, that's not what we're doing anymore. And then bringing back in the energy of, remember, you did some amazing things already. And then just letting it feel good in my body and moving forward from that space.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for sharing that, and I remember when I was in the process of turning my annual income into my monthly income, that's exactly what I did, Laura, so I wanna just mirror that back to you and, like, be like, that's the energy, that's how we do it, and when we do the work and when we understand wealth energetics and we understand feminine path to wealth versus maybe what's been taught about, I've gotta push, force, hustle, like, grind to call it in, we can know that when we're in a place where even if we haven't seen it all yet or like observed it in the 3D yet, we can know it's coming because of how we're feeling. This is it. And so that like just that energy, that vibe and how you're tuning in to your body and saying, okay, if I'm in a place where I'm experiencing a negative emotion right now, I'm in a spot where I'm thinking a limiting belief. All right, let me just go in. Let me dismantle that. Not a big deal. Like Caroline said, like, oh, this is a silly little belief. Okay. Am I gonna let this thing really like rule my life and stop me from having what it is that I want? And from that place of peace, of joy, of love, of feeling good, we draw to us what it is we're calling in. We attract what we want. We get the divine download. We get the next inspired action to take. So yes, 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 yes to all of that. And I just appreciate you sharing your journey and your experience and your it's the story is writing itself right now for you. And it's really cool and really, really exciting. And I want to acknowledge you and how you are saying yes to yourself because it's really beautiful. And that's how we quantum leap. That's how we ascend. So with that, I feel like this has been such a powerful call. I really appreciate all of you who are here live. If you're watching the replay, I trust it spoke to you in powerful ways. We are meeting tomorrow for day 2, same time, same place. So 1 to 2:30 Eastern. My team will send the Zoom link. I believe it's on the same link, so it should be back in the same place. Laura shared her calendar link here in the chat, but go ahead and book a call. ElyseArcher.com/10K club. You'll be right on there. You can go ahead and book a call. I know Laura's got availability this week, and we've also got some really cool things that we're doing and rolling out for those of you who want to go deeper in this community. I think it's one thing to sit on a call like this and to be like, oh my gosh, I can do it. This is amazing. It is a very different thing entirely to believe in yourself enough to invest in yourself and to say, I am worth it and I am worthy of support. I am worthy of being in the community in a deeper way. That's where we ascend. That's where we quantum leap. So tomorrow we'll talk a little bit more about some of the opportunities to go deeper. You'll also hear 2 really, really cool interviews with women who are ascending in big ways in this material. Like I said, one of whom texted me yesterday. She was like, in feminine energy, in fun, signed her 60K um, cash collected deal over the weekend. She's also turned her annual income into her monthly income this year, which is really, really fun. And then another woman who has used this material to absolutely ascend, to form a nonprofit, to serve on boards, do some really cool, powerful things. So you're going to want to hear from them about how they made those shifts. Carolyn, I love what you said about we all belong here. We do. This is it. This is very much a divinely ordained, like, again, whatever your language is, I'm going to use God. I feel like it's a God thing that has like pulled us together to create a space where we are all ascending. And as I talk with my team and our consultants and many people around us, it's funny because so many of us that have had deja vu, especially recently, like in the past year, I would say, where we've just had this feeling of like, we've been here before. Like, oh, I'm getting chills while I talk about it. We've already done this. And it's more of a feeling, I think, when women step into the community of remembering, like, oh my gosh, of course I was meant to do this. Of course I'm here. Of course these people are around me. Of course I'm ascending in this way. That's the best word I have to describe it. It's kind of magical and special. So we would love to have you in a deeper way. And we'll talk more tomorrow about what that can look like. In the meantime, we love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here. I can't wait to go deeper tomorrow with all of you and be thinking about biggest takeaways and questions too, so that we can dive into them tomorrow because I want to have some time for live coaching with all of you as well. All right, y'all. You're amazing. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into this special episode of the podcast. So, this was just day 1 of my Feminine Path to Wealth training. And so, I hope that you are walking away having listened to this feeling super lit up about what's possible for you when you combine feminine energetics with wealth and abundance and sales, because it really is a very magical, special mix. And so, if you want to hear the full training that I did, the full live event, day 2 is available for free. And so we're going to link that replay in the show notes for you to grab. So be sure you go check that out. What I will say is that if this spoke to you, the real transformation happens inside my signature program, the 10K Club. So if you're not familiar with the 10K Club, it feels like my baby. It's the signature program I created close to 5 years ago to empower specifically women to break through 6, multi-6 and 7 figures in income, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a sales professional. There is a really powerful, robust on-demand training suite that you get lifetime access to that dives into all things belief and mindset rewiring, wealth energetics, feminine and masculine energy, and really powerful strategy for growing your business. My background is 20 years plus in sales, business, marketing strategy. So I bring the best of the best of what I've taught in some of the top organizations in the world. Also, personally coaching some of the top sales professionals and entrepreneurs literally in the world. I bring that to you in this program, but it's all layered upon a really solid foundation of mindset, belief, neuroscience, quantum physics, wealth energetics, feminine, masculine energy. It's just really, really beautiful. If you love this podcast and what we talk about, it is going to change your life and transform. And it was originally designed specifically for women, and it is still primarily for women. But what I'll say is that we've got a really cool group of men inside the community as well. So this is available for all. There's a global community that you get to be a part of. There's an immediate on demand, incredibly robust training suite that you can just binge and go deep dive into, and that alone will transform your life. There's monthly live group coaching calls with me, with my coaches. You get an event ticket included in it. So it is just beautiful and powerful and transformational. So I want to invite you to go check it out at elisearcher.com/10K club. You can enroll if you feel called. And I'd love to support you deeper in your journey and actually taking these ideas and then implementing them for you and customizing them for you. So with that being said, if today's episode resonated, I would be so grateful for you to share this with a friend. Leave a review on the podcast. It really helps get the word out, and it helps others connect with a new way of thinking around wealth, abundance, and how we achieve our goals unapologetically in all areas of life. So until next time, I want to remind you to trust yourself on your path to success. Remember that your desires are green lights, leading you and everyone around you to a brighter future. I'll see you on our next episode.